remember is we're at or over capacity with a building that's too small, with classrooms that are too small, with hallways that are too small with no gym. You know, it's critical that these kids get some type of physical exercise, and they've been making do. No one's been complaining. You just got to keep from sliding down that hallway when you go over there. Slowly, right?
I turn that into a game.
So that's the formal request. I'm going to have Jesus talk to you in a second, but ultimately y'all can't read this. I'll have Jesus break it down, and this is, we're not taking any action today. But there's two ways we can go about this. We can take money out of fund balance, option one, and we can pay for the whole thing. Option two, which I think is a better option, would be to split fund it, to pay for half of the facility and go out and get a loan to do the second half. I probably said that wrong, Jesus. Why don't you tell them exactly how we would do that?
The option is to look at the risk of the overall project and basically look at a split situation where about half of the project will be financed through our reserves, and the other half will be through the PFC bond, meaning lease revenue financing. We are at a point that our interest rates are continue to remain low, so this is the best time to incur some of the debt.
What's the current interest rate?
They're at 2.5% to 3%, and so we'll have the financing available for you at the December meeting with all the details. Looking at that and being able to draw some of those reserves will still leave us with an adequate fund balance to be able to provide cash flow and the needs that we have for the department. One of the key things is that when we were looking at capacity, we were looking at, well, you know, how much in debt are we going to incur? Well, in the last 8 years, we've reduced the debt a little over $5 million since 2008, 2009. So we have capacity in terms of our debt. Second, it takes about another 15 students more to be able to basically pay off the debt that we would incur. And in looking at the projection with Mr. Parker and also with our program, 15 additional students, it's about what we would be able to readily available, be able to add in the near future should we have the capacity. And so that will basically pay for the debt over a 20-year period and use some of our fund balance to be able to offset. And again, we can go through all the details in terms of the December meeting, the structure, the timeline, and what how would we look at option to be able to do that as part of that with the reserves and part of with the debt.
So what's the interest rates again right now?
Anywhere between 2.5 and 3.5.
Do that on revenue line?
Yes. Now we would.
That right?
Yes, because we would have to pledge some of our revenue, the fee for revenues that we have, and we'll be able to do that. Now, because of there are going to be some costs associated with structuring the debt and the bond counsel, and we would look at a premium on the bond so that it can be sold at a premium. So we would sell them at 3% and 4%. We would structure the coupon to be 3% and 4% to give us a yield of 2.5. Actually, it would be 3.6, the average interest cost over the 20-year period. But it would give us enough money to pay for the bond counsel, the financial advisor, the going on to the market, and you know, structure the whole deal.
So you're going to pay
For the issuance cost.
Issuance cost.
Yes, sir.
Out of the
Proceeds, right. So the cost there, it says $5 million. We will get approximately about 5.2 in terms of net proceeds based on those percentages, and so that would allow us enough cash flow to pay for those costs that we would incur in order to establish the debt. Questions? More detail. Again, I'll have you know the complete financing in the December measure to move forward in terms of the full structure. We're looking at a financing that would require a 60-day notice. And we would do that in March. April, we would look at the pricing and issuance and closing around May of 2016. That's kind of the time horizon of the project.
I think y'all are pushing it too fast. We need a real honest to goodness feasibility study, long-term plan. We've got a building that is in a location that's not favorable for anybody else probably but us. It's a declining neighborhood, and we'll be stuck with it. It's a special use facility, and we don't have guarantees from our users. If somebody else decides to go into competition with us, or one of the bigger school districts that use us decides to do their own facility, then we'll be in a world of hurt. So I think we really need to nail everything down, and I don't think we can do that.
I'm not talking finish all this in December. I'm talking,
Well,
that's the starting point.
Yeah, but I mean, financing is just a part of the whole situation. I mean, I think we need to spend more time on determining that we're happy with the location and it's feasible that we will get the demand.
Well, you know, we've actually been talking about this facility since I've been here. And one of the things that we entertained first is finding a completely new location. Well, the first thing we talked about is how do we fortify the infrastructure that we currently have.
Who is we talking?
Mr. Hooper and I.
Yeah, that's not the board.
I'm saying, I don't talk to y'all about every single thing on a daily
Well, I know
basis.
that, but what I'm saying is
for
that you
approval.
need to give us those alternatives. Tell us why this is the location as opposed to somewhere else that's better. We're not
We're
there.
doing it right now.
Yeah, my point that I'm getting to is that it's difficult to purchase property that it's already designed to be a school. That's why we've been purchasing office buildings, trying to get them cheap. We actually own this facility and the property. I think it's a better idea to build a new school than to try to Band-Aid that building.
Well, I definitely agree with that.
James, what's the idea if they don't want to sell that property?
Yeah, then we have to look into somebody. I hadn't seen anybody who has a vacant property that doesn't want to sell one,
They
but
will be wanting to sell it.
yeah, it's just, 'cause on the other side of that property, what is the facility on the other side of it? It's like a place for emotionally disturbed adults who've already been out of the school system. I mean,
Right around the corner of Channel 39. They would be in favor of us developing that area.
so the issue is first we looked at what would happen if we just did something to bolster the actual facility and fortify it. And some of the things we just had to do, we had to pour out our cement back there to get a new parking lot. We installed the playground out there last year. But still we have some structural integrity issues that, to be quite honest, if you wanted to fix all those things, it would probably exceed the cost of the building. And so then the other option is, we even looked at, there's a building on the corner, across the street on the corner, that's a two-story building. And so I forgot who was with me. I was like, write down that number. We need to give them a call and see what that facility looks like and how much they want to sell it. That's a no-go. I mean, I haven't found or I haven't heard of any facility out there that really meets our needs that we wouldn't still have to put additional money into to convert it into a school.
Now, there is the possibility of just buying the name of the building.
But you think that would be cheaper than this when we already
It
own
may
it?
not be cheaper, but it may be a better long-term decision.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
What do you think about that? You've been out in the community a lot.
We've looked, there's not anything readily available that is financially feasible to do. You know, that there are some tracks that are much larger than what we need, and they're very expensive as well. We own this. This is in the vicinity of where the districts that we serve are. We serve them on that southwest side. They leave in one of our biggest schools. So it is a feasible location for us. Is there something better out there? I'm not sure. I'm not seeing anything. No.
Have you been looking?
Yes, ma'am, we've been looking for at least 3 years.
I think we ought to hire a real estate specialist to see what is available. I mean, it's jumping at this and saying that there's nothing available. There's property available all over the place.
Yeah, I figured it's something to say.
Mr. Sumner, I see your point of having more information about student population feasibility, but Les is very good at his job, and if he's been looking for 3 years and that's a very specific location, it's not like we're looking at all of Harris County. Yeah, okay, there's land
No,
somewhere in
but
Harris
we
County.
may
It's honed down to a specific southwest area.
we might be wanting to move like closer to the Beltway or something that gives it better
But that's
access.
probably in the range. That's in 59 Beltway, that's southwest. I'm not sure if you did a circle that was beyond 1 mile from the school. And you can probably ask him how broad his search was. So to say he did look at all the property in that area is just getting expensive in the whole county. You know, you have people moving here every day.
Well, the concern that I think Mr. Summers had was we couldn't accomplish everything that he thinks we need to do by December. I'm going to ask Les, how do you feel about that?
I mean, we need stuff in writing, just verbal conversation.
I'd like to hear from Les, please.
We have started on this, and we've come a little way with it. We've even talked to real estate professional. We've gotten shut down from a legal standpoint about procuring their services. Now we're currently out for an RFP for real estate professionals. Apparently that's not one of the...
And that's for other properties also.
Yes, but in particular for this property. That's not one that is listed in the statutes that you just did a request for qualification. We wished it was, but it's not. And so that is in the process right now.
So why hasn't the board been informed of the RFP?
Well, that's what I was saying. We initially were looking for real estate for other property that we've been trying to sell, and that was
But you haven't told us that.
that was on the board unit, wasn't it?
Yes, they, a year ago, they approved surplus properties as surplus.
We own property out by High Point East, the Cross Timbers, facility of a lot right down the street, I think.
Six lots across the street.
We own 6 lots across the street.
So they're saying that the location might not be right. Have any of our customers that we serve from that location complained about the location?
Well, James said that they come from an hour away.
So
So,
have you
I
had
mean-
complaints?
The use of traffic, that could be 30 minutes. That could be 30 miles, 20 miles.
I know that, but it's still an hour.
But they still come, and so I'm saying,
Yeah.
has there been complaints?
But I think we need it explained to us better. It's like,
Well, this
we're
is
going
like-
out and spending $10 million just on a
I
bunch of
think this is
verbal
what
talk.
we're doing right now.
All they're doing is introducing the idea to us to see if this is a.
Well, but they're wanting to get going in December and make the final decision.
I'm wanting
about
to
it.
bring a proposal for a budget amendment in December, and that will begin the process of trying to do all the things, some of the things that you're talking about. I mean, the building's not going to pop up in December. There's not bulldozers aren't going to pop up in December.
Well, I think we ought to authorize it in stages. Authorize in December what we're going to do to see if we really want to build this place. Feasibility of customers, location, financing apparently is not a problem, and have a written report.
When you saw, if you go back on the slide, and maybe I skipped through a whole lot of that, you can't see it, but I can go through a lot of the detail. I basically did a lot of that with Les and Mr. Parker in analyzing the capacity, the feasibility of, from a financing perspective. And they've done from a program perspective and from a facilities perspective, the feasibility of the property. we can provide that at the December meeting and lay out those plans and timelines, that is gonna have some of those timelines as far as when, you know, the evaluation of the facility, the realtor, the financing, and the program piece. But a lot of that, you will see all of that in some of the complete package.
That's typically what we do.
Yes.
When we build a facility
Well,
or
I'm just
purchase
saying is that-
major properties.
All I'm saying is that we're accelerating the decision making. In my opinion, it's too fast. That you've done all this stuff, but you haven't brought it to the board to make a decision. You've done the feasibility, but where is it? You've done the financing.
But we're not making the decision today, Don.
I
If
know,
that's
but
what
they're
they're gonna
wanting to
bring
do it
us in
in
December.
December.
Well, but they're gonna bring that information to us in December.
Well, but they need to bring it long before, so we can study it, or bring it to us in December, and let us study it and make the motion in January.
Well, the objective for today was to do just that, to have the discussion, to see how the board would like for us to proceed. As I said at the beginning, I hear what your concerns are, Mr. Sumner. There's certainly things I hadn't thought of, or else I would have taken them into consideration. I felt like we had been doing our due diligence and doing this in incremental steps, and I certainly didn't want to try to accelerate this and put y'all in a position to make a compromising decision. And I'm still not sure I'm doing that. I really want y'all to see the reason why I would make such a proposal. Give you an opportunity to think about it. Let me know what direction y'all would like me to move in, and then ultimately put on the board agenda for you to vote.
I'll say this. If you bid out to that building is not worth saving.
That's why we're going to demolish it. Yeah,
And
Yeah,
that's
I mean, that, fixing it up is really out of it.
yeah, I would agree with you.
Okay. But it also gives you an opportunity to go into a long-term plan if you're going to abandon it or tear it down. The long-term plan, and I just want the long-term plan to do just that. We're going to have to get commitments from the school districts that they will continue to send us these students.
I just don't see how that's I don't see how that works. I mean, the fact of the matter is, ever since that building's been open, it's been full.
Well, okay, but look, you're coming from A-Leagues. You're not going beyond A-Leagues right now, right?
Let me make a suggestion, and I hear what you're saying, Don, and I understand what you're saying. But what Mr. Covert and the staff are telling us is they're gonna bring us a total package in December. If we don't like it, we don't accept it. The board has the right to reject what they're doing.
But we're not going to have enough time to study it. That's the problem.
We'll take whatever time we need, Don. We're the ones that make the decision on the go or no go, aren't we? Aren't we?
But
Yeah.
James said he was going to come with a agenda item to do it.
It's okay. It's okay for him to come forward with an agenda item. We have the right to say we will accept it or we won't.
So how about this?
That's what the board
That
does.
we present to you the documentation that we have been doing in December 1st. We'll get that out to all the boards, so you have an opportunity to look at that. Ask any questions. You can schedule meetings with me and Jesus and Mr. Parker, Mr. Hooper, whatever, to be able to answer any questions. But, yeah, I think Mr. Summers and I are in agreement on several things. One, I agree, the building's not worth saving. And the building is a potential safety hazard. And so we're going to have to address the issues of the building. The only question is when. I'm suggesting the time is now. Okay, so we agree on that.
Okay.
Hold on. And so the other thing is that I would rather take existing property that we own and build a new facility than to buy new property, build a new facility, and then try to sell something that you have already said is going to be difficult to sell. Then we're stuck with another piece of property that we need to sell. We're better served taking what we own, not, renovating a building that's not worth renovating, and just building a new building on property that we own. And that's the proposal.
Would we save money to build a taller building on the property we own without buying a new property?
I don't think I think we're landlocked. We gotta have that lot beside
I'm
us.
saying like a 3 or 4 story building instead of 2.
I understand. I don't know that there's enough property there between us and that fence line to build, erect a 4-story building on that property. I mean,
Well, you could, the problem is you have to shut down stages to do it.
We'd still have problems with parking as well.
I mean, ultimately, whatever we do, we're gonna get rid of the existing building and build a parking lot. I mean, it'd be a tight squeeze, and like Don said, we'd have to tear down part of that building to be able to do something that's big.
Where's your catch pond?
Yeah.
City of Houston, if you build a new facility, you gotta have so much level below the grade to catch rainwater. They're not gonna let you just use all this property for what you want. They're gonna demand that you have a catch pond out there for flood control.
Well, the good news is we already have most of that area that's impervious, so all that is in place. So we're not changing the impervious nature of that property, so they won't make us add additional retention.
How many acres is this going to be in total?
A whole lot with if we purchase the other.
The building next door.
They have it on the drawing. You'll see it on the drawing.
Is there a 1 acre requirement? To go over 1 acre, you have to have the retention.
Well, it has to do with the impervious nature of the property. If you've
The
got
city of
parking.
Houston actually has a lot size.
Yes, that is if you've got the green space that you're going to turn into a parking space. All this property is already impervious. It's already covered with parking. So there's nothing that would soak in. We'll actually be adding to the green space.
Well, the playground is going to be grass.
It, not necessarily grass, but it'll be,
Approximately 62,500 square feet.
Excuse me, but we are beyond the clock.
Yep. If there's no other questions, I appreciate the time. We can transfer to our report.